As stated, for over 30 years, I've stood at the front of English classrooms, not with a sword, but with a whiteboard marker. My battlefield? Teenage distraction. My armour? Grammar rules. My victories? Quiet ones. A raised hand, a well-argued essay, and a boy who finally understood metaphor. But 4 years ago, adversity rewrote my lesson plan. Despite decades of self-care, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, becoming the 8th woman in my immediate family to face breast or ovarian cancer. My own mother died of ovarian cancer. It wasn't just my diagnosis. It was a legacy, etched into genes. Swift, unsparing, not an exam I'd set, but a test I was forced to take. At the time, I was teaching Year 11 English language to a rowdy crew of boys here who, despite their volume, had grown into community. When I told them I'd be undergoing a double mastectomy and reconstruction, I wasn't just announcing an absence. I was offering them a glimpse into real-life adversity. I told them I'd be gone. I told them I was scared. And then Jordan happened. Jordan wasn't the student who turned heads with his grades, but he turned hearts with his words. He walked up to me and he said, sorry, I forgot to do this as I was going along. He said, "You're a soldier, miss. I had cancer when I was 9 and I got through it, and so can you." I carried those words into surgery like a shield, because adversity doesn't just test your body. It tests your ability to be seen, to be understood, to feel less alone. That moment taught me something really humbling. Teenagers, especially those underestimated, like Jordan, wield far more power in their words than adults do. Their honesty is unfiltered, their kindness unrehearsed. Even those who don't top the class offer wisdom far beyond their years. My apologies. I might need some help. Sorry. Thank you. My journey to teaching wasn't smooth, just like that wasn't. I was raised in an Italian family that knew only poverty. My mother, Caterina, who had a life of deprivation, saw little value in me. When I was accepted into university at the age of 11 to study fine art, sorry, I keep clicking the wrong thing. Sam. Apologies for that.
This one or the next one?
Yeah, just the next one. Thank you. my mother Katerina. As you can see, I'm great with technology. When I was accepted into university to study fine art at age 11, she didn't celebrate. My dreams weren't hers to nurture. At the time, the pain I felt from her icy exterior did not allow me to understand her reaction. But teaching teens handed me the wisdom to better consider her own hardships and circumstances. Mum was a difficult person to understand, but she affected me most. In her final days, her words softened. Her armour cracked. One morning in oncology, I found her asleep, petite, contort, wrapped in clean linen. I stared at her chest, trying to read what was growing inside. I looked at the title of the book she was reading. It was the Bible. It's strange what we remember and what our siblings don't. We all hold different minutes inside of us, the ones that matter most to us. Up until then, I'd never heard my mother admit fear. To me, she was my female Samson. Depression, anxiety, loneliness. These were my classmates of my childhood and adolescence. I knew I was different from my sisters, and I felt it in every silence. Though I longed to pursue art, I followed the only path my mother really approved of: teaching. And what irony! The pain she gave me became the greatest joy I'd ever expected. Acceptance. Since I began teaching, I have kept every note, every email, every drawing, every awkward teenage thank you card. Not out of vanity, but survival. Their words were my lifeboat when cancer tried to sink me. In Queensland, 2 teenage students who were an integral part of my homeroom, Hayley and Damien, especially touched me with their words and actions. This is the beautiful book that Hayley created when I left the school. She got every single one of the students in our homeroom to write a comment. She decorated it with so many beautiful images of the students in the school and comments from them. They all sent their messages to them. And these are all the lovely comments that I've kept so far from students and will always keep. So Damien wrote to me in his diary, in that diary that I just showed you. You have the rare ability to see the world from other people's perspectives. And I don't know where I'd be without your smiling face each morning. And from Olivia, you taught me so much that will stay with me forever. You have been the most helpful teacher. From Wes, you're a hero to me for achieving what many teachers deemed impossible. 3-4 English. Isabella, when my dad was in hospital, I came to school with a smile because he kept me happy. And from Joseph here at this very school, thank you for seeing me, not as the kid struggling with English, but as someone with potential. Because of you, I no longer feel small or shy about my words. Those aren't just those aren't just testimonials. They are proof that kindness, perseverance, and vulnerability matter. That the classroom isn't just a place of learning. It is a sanctuary of becoming. Even in cancer, even in pain, teaching healed me in ways medicine never could. One of my favourite poets, Khalil Gibran, writes in his poem Defeat, "Defeat, my solitude and aloofness, you are dearer to me than 1,000 triumphs. Gibran reminds us that hard times are the beginning of good times. Adults often approach adversity like mathematicians, logical, risk-taking, emotionally reserved. But young people, they meet pain like poets. They give, they feel, they rally. Not because they know how to fix the broken, but because they believe that it should not stay broken. There's a myth that generosity blooms late in life, that maturity breeds altruism. I say nonsense. Some of the most philanthropic souls I've ever met haven't yet turned 18. Gabby, one of the brightest students I have ever taught, said to me, "There is no doubt I owe 90% of my achievements to you." That gratitude is philanthropy. And Year 10 Stav, whom I taught in a girls' school, confessed, "I have never loved English, but since having you as my teacher, I've fallen in love with it." That love is philanthropy. Year 8 Gold left me a departing note. A happy heart comes first, then a happy face. That wisdom is philanthropy. And a parent once wrote, "Over the longer journey, goodness prevails. People who are kind, as you are, will have happiness and love as companions." Yes, adversity came for me, but it didn't win. because my classroom isn't just filled with students. It's filled with soldiers of hope. Your generation, you, sitting there today, possess the courage, the empathy, and fire that this world truly needs more of. You give without knowing, and you heal without headlines. And the next time you think you're just a kid, remember Jordan. Remember Olivia, Hayley, Damien, Wes, Gabby, Stav and Joseph here at this very school. Because defying adversity doesn't always require strength. Sometimes all it takes is a sentence. My legacy isn't a building with my name etched in stone. It's the thousands of words my students have etched in my heart. They come to class with laptops, and I left with courage stitched between their lines. Where adversity once stood like a shadow, each of those students handed me sunlight, one sentence at a time. And if I am a soldier, as Jordan said, it's because these children, these teens, these warriors march beside me every single day. You're a soldier, and isn't that what hope truly is? Emily Dickinson's poem, "Hope is the Thing with Feathers," reminds us, "Yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me." Hope is the very thing I receive every day in my classroom from students like Jordan and Olivia, without them ever asking for anything back. Hope doesn't just perch in the soul. It walks into the classroom doors with backpacks and braces. It scribbles on exam papers and mumbles awkward thank yous. And it sings for me, for you, and anyone brave enough to listen. So if you remember nothing else from today, remember this. Even in the dark, we are not without light. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It is the refusal. To let fear write our ending. Thank you.